New York Giants Week 8 preview as the 1-6 Giants face off against the 5-2 Buccaneers on Monday Night Football, 8:15 game. Tampa Bay is a minus 10.5. I think it might have gone up to 11.5. I heard today. So the Giants are not supposed to win this game. I'll put it that way, and I kind of believe that myself. So we'll go over the key injuries and guys that are already ruled out. There are some other injuries. I know Devontae Freeman probably won't play. It hasn't been officially ruled yet, so I didn't put it in here. But right now we know that Chris Godwin, the really good receiver for the Buccaneers, is out. He's their slot guy. You know, the Giants definitely benefit from not having him there, but still they have a lot of great other receiving options, so they definitely can survive without him. The Giants left guard, as we know, Will Hernandez is out this game and possibly next week as well. He was tested positive for COVID. Everyone else tested negative on the offensive line, I think today, or I think it was this morning maybe it came out that everyone else was negative. So it seems like other than Will Hernandez, the offensive line should be there for Monday, which would be huge. Hopefully that's the case. So as always, we'll start with the offense. So I think the offensive line has a very tall task here. You talk about a Tampa Bay defense that has amazing pass rushers. Of course, old friend Jason Pierre-Paul will be lined up across from Andrew Thomas a lot of this game. Then Ndamukong Suh, he's still playing at a pretty high level. Of course, they have guys like Levante David. Devin White's been really good this year. I think he's had a lot of sacks this year so far. And then, of course, they have Shaquille Barrett as well, who had 20 and a half sacks or something last year, which led the NFL. So a very scary front seven for this team. I think their entire defense is scary, to be honest. Tampa Bay averages 3.6 sacks per game, which is third best in the NFL. And the Giants' offensive line, pass blocking wise especially, is really not that good. And their tackle struggle, Andrew Thomas has been a big reason for that. Cam Fleming is probably going to start this game. I don't think Matt Parrott's going to play. He might play a few snaps because the Giants seem to do that for some reason, but it's going to be a rough day probably, and Jason Pierre-Paul had some quotes today that he's not holding anything back. He wants payback on the Giants, and he still has it in his heart that he wants revenge on this team, so hopefully he goes easy on us, but it's not looking like it. So Tampa Bay's run defense, and it's been this way the last couple of years, they are legit. I think they're the best defense and rushing yards allowed per game in the NFL. So the Giants, while they don't have much of a running game anyway, as I said, Freeman might be out this game. It might be Wayne Gallman's time to shine. It might be Dion Lewis behind him. It may be a guy like Alfred Morris gets called up from the practice squad or something, so we'll see. But the Giants probably won't have much success running the ball. I think the only way they do it is if number 8 has another big run. That's possible, but I mean, we'll see. I feel like the Bucs defense, stopping the run has been phenomenal the past 2 years, as I said, so I don't expect much on the ground. I think this will be one of those games where I think 20 points for the Giants offense is a long shot. If the Giants are going to win this game, their defense needs to play lights out and hold the Bucs to 14 points, 17 points. Like the Giants, I don't think are going to put up many offensive points in this game. Maybe the Giants defense gets some turnovers and gives them some great field position. Maybe the defense or special team scores a touchdown. That would be great. But the Giants offense, I just don't feel like we'll have a great game in this spot because the Bucs defense, as I said before, they are legit. So I talked about JPP and Shaq Barrett versus our offensive tackles. It's going to be rough. I'm not really looking forward to that matchup. It's a very tall task for these guys. Rookie Shane Lemieux might get his first start at left guard. The Giants haven't announced that yet, but I feel like it makes the most sense. So we'll probably see Shane Lemieux make his NFL debut. And hey, you're across from the Ndamukong Suh. That's great, And they have, and they even traded for Steve McClendon from the Jets, and he's not bad either. So I mean, it's not going to get easy for Shane Lemieux in his rookie debut here. But we now go on to the defense. So the Bucs offense is 8th in passing yards this year. Tom Brady, while some people thought he was washed, I was one of those people that thought it was because the Patriots wide receivers were not getting separation last year. And I feel like that's kind of true because Tom Brady has looked great so far. He's one of the MVP candidates. I would not say he's the MVP, but he's in the discussion right now, so that says a lot. Ronald Jones has been on fire lately. I believe Ronald Jones, their running back, a former second-round pick in 2018, or maybe third round. I think it was second round, though. He had 3 straight 100-plus yard running games. He did not have 100 yards last week. He had he had a quiet game, but he did score a touchdown in that game. But yeah, he's been a good running back for them this year. They have Leonard Fournette, of course. He was out the past few weeks, but I think he came back last week. They'll implement him at some points as well. Tampa Bay's offensive line ranks number 1 in pass protection. So Tom Brady has had a lot of time this year. Tristan Wirfs, which, this hurts to say, of course, because the Giants had a chance at him. I was not a big Tristan Wirfs guy, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it. But to see Tristan Wirfs playing his you-know-what off for the Patriots, for the Buccaneers at right tackle, it's definitely not good to see. And now we see Andrew Thomas really struggling here. So it definitely helps to have Tom Brady. I get that as compared to a young Giants team. And, I get it. But still, to have him playing at a very high level and Andrew Thomas being one of the worst tackles in football, probably the worst. it's not a good look right now. But I still think Thomas will be okay. He just needs more reps, I think. Yeah, talked about the offensive line being great. The Giants will have to get a pass rush, and Giants fans know better than anybody. The way to beat Tom Brady is to knock him off his feet many times, get him uncomfortable. Do the Giants have a pass rush to do it right now? I'm not sure. Can Kyler Fackrell get there? Can they get Blake Martinez in there on some blitzes? I mean, we'll see, but it's not looking good. So I mean, I don't know if the Giants are going to get to him many times. They're pass blocking for the offensive line has been great this year, so the Giants have to find a way to rattle Brady. If not, he'll have himself a nice day probably. So Rob Gronkowski, he was not involved too much the first few weeks, but honestly, in like the past, I would say 3 or 4 games, he's been getting more and more involved each week. I think he has 2 touchdowns the last 2 games. So, I mean, the Giants have had a history of not covering tight ends too well. It's been better this year, but they still have that history. And Gronkowski and Brady have that connection. They've been playing together for basically a decade now, maybe more. I think it's been a decade. But, yeah, I mean, those are guys you have to watch out for. And the Giants, as I said, have a problem covering that position. So we'll see. Mike Evans versus James Bradberry. So it's weird. If you pay attention to fantasy football, you might know this if you're a Mike Evans owner or a Chris Godwin owner. In games where Chris Godwin does not play, and he's been out for, I think, 3 games maybe, Chris Godwin. He had like a hamstring injury, a concussion, so he missed some other games. In those games where he's out, those are the games where Mike Evans gets heavily targeted, and this is a game where Chris Godwin's out. So this might be the game where Mike Evans gets heavily targeted. But James Bradberry, he's had a lot of battles before with Mike Evans. They played in the NFC South together, of course, Bradberry being on the Panthers for a lot of years. So these guys have had their battles, but there's been instances of Mike Evans getting the better part of him and James Bradberry getting the better part of him. I remember last year in a game at London, I think it was, when the Jaguars always play in London, so forgive me for that one, but when the Buccaneers and the Panthers played in London last year, Bradberry did very well against Mike Evans, I remember. So, I mean, you got to watch out for that. It will be a fun matchup, and hopefully the Giants keep him on Evans the whole game, because without Godwin, the Buccaneers still have good receivers. I mean, they still have Scotty Miller, who's okay. They have Tyler Johnson, an impressive rookie. So they have some guys out there. Antonio Brown is not eligible to play yet. I think next week is his first week. But Mike Evans is still by far the best receiver on the field for both teams, honestly. I mean, Mike Evans on a different level. He's not projected for a great season this year, but we know Mike Evans from a talent standpoint. Hell, we saw it last year. He basically had 300 yards against us, against Janoris Jenkins. We know Mike Evans is one of the most talented receivers in the league, so don't let him beat you. So I talked about Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, and look, honestly, I mean, when I think about this game, you can see my score prediction here. I don't have it going too well for the Giants. When you think about this game, ask yourself, where are the Giants better than the Buccaneers? They're not better at quarterback. They're not better at running back. They're not better at offensive line. They're not better at receiver. They're not better at tight end. Defensively, they're not better at defensive line. They're not better at linebacker, that's for sure. They're probably not better in their secondary. I mean, the Bucs have some really impressive young corners. Antoine Winfield Jr. is a really good young safety. So I would still say the Buccaneers have a better secondary. So the Giants, I feel like in every area, are not a better team. The Buccaneers beat us in every category. Maybe I'm wrong, but honestly, I feel like I was one of those people that really believed in this Buccaneers team. I believe that defense was going to be legit this year, and so far they've proved it. I think this team is like peaking right now. They beat up on the Raiders pretty badly last week, and the Raiders are probably a better team than the Giants, as we know, and they beat them by like 18 points. So yeah, it might be an ugly game for the Giants. It's not a good matchup right now. I feel like if the Giants played another team with a lot of off days like they have right now, they haven't played since last Thursday, they might have a chance here at home, of course, but against a team like Tampa, an experienced team, and Tom Brady being their quarterback, I don't really see a way the Giants win this game. Now, to put a positive spin on it, the last time the Giants were, I think, over 10-point underdogs at home, it was week 17 against the Chiefs, and not week 17. The year was 2017 against the Chiefs, and the Giants won that game 12-9. If you remember, it was a game where Roger Lewis had that one-handed catch in overtime. The Giants won the game on a field goal. So hey, there's a positive spin on it. The last time the Giants were over 10-point underdogs at home, they found a way to win. And there was that game also in 2017 where they were, I think, 13-point underdogs against Denver, and they got their first win. So like, hey, the Giants have done it before. I know it's a different team for the most part, and not many guys are still there from 2017. Except for like Tomlinson, Shepard, Engram, Gallman. Like those are really the only guys I feel like. But the Giants as a team have done it before, so maybe we see it again. I just don't think it's the right spot. So my score prediction here is Tampa Bay 27, the Giants 13. I obviously hope it's more competitive than that because that's not really a good score, but I just don't know how the Giants put up points offensively. And I do like our defense, of course. They're going in the right direction, but Tom Brady and this offense has been off to a great start, and they're getting better each week. So I mean, it's a tough task for this defense, and this is probably gonna be one of those games where the Giants' defense is on the field a lot. It'll probably be one of those games where they get fatigued and get tired, and then by the end of the game, they'll be giving up some long plays and long runs. That's usually how it goes. So I feel like the Giants' offense will struggle too much to the point where it'll start affecting the defense. That's my main concern, honestly. But hey, maybe the Giants find a way once again to pull off an underdog upset down, where it's more than 10 points. That would be awesome if we can somehow win this game. But it just goes to show you, I mean, I know I'm backtracking now, but how important Thursday's loss was, the Cowboys' loss was. Like, the Giants could have been basically tied for first place, but now they're in a situation where 1-7 is a real possibility here, and I think a team like the Eagles are probably going to win this week against Dallas. And I think Washington has a bye this week. I feel like, yeah, I think they do. So, they won't get a loss, but still, I feel like the Eagles might get a bigger lead here in this division. So yeah, the Giants missed out on some big opportunities the past couple weeks, and now it is what it is. They made their bed, now they got to lay in it. So it is what it is. So I don't think they'll win this week. Hopefully they do. I'd be surprised, but let me know your score predictions in the comments. Maybe it's not as bad as mine, but I feel like some people might say it's worse. So if I get like a 45-10 Tampa Bay win, I would not be too surprised to see that one either. But as always, there's going to be some people that predict the Giants to win. So I definitely give you kudos for having that type of optimism, but it ain't me. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen here. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, leave your score prediction, and I'll talk to you guys after the game.